I'm Mike with List 25.
And I'm Cody of the Alternate History Hub, and here are 25 facts about the Industrial Revolution.
Ooh, I'm a cartoon. I look good. How you doing?
Number 25. Birthplace of Industrial Revolution. Great Britain was the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution. Primarily a rural agrarian society up to that point, most British people grew most of their own food and produced most of their clothes and tools. The Industrial Revolution led to specialization, in which workers would focus on specific tasks and sell their products for other people's products.
24. Britain's shady dealings. Besides its eager-to-work populace, Britain also had the largest colonial empire in human existence. These colonies provided raw materials which were shipped to the UK, made into the finished product, then sold back to the colonies. Sounds like a scam if I've ever seen one.
Number 23. Why didn't other countries industrialize first? One of the greatest advantages Britain had over other countries was political stability. More unstable countries would not have been able to efficiently organize themselves into the structured systems needed to make production and distribution cost-effective.
22. A yarn spinner changes history. One of the most impacted industries was textile production. While a decentralized cottage industry existed prior, it was widely inefficient. In 1764, James Hargreaves invented the spinning jenny, a machine which dramatically reduced the amount of time it took to make a spool of yarn. Though basic, Hargreaves' invention proved to be one of the most useful products of the Industrial Revolution.
Number 21. The Anti-Industrialists. Not everyone was happy with the technological changes happening in British society. The Luddites were citizens united against change. The name often refers to a group of workers in the early 1800s who destroyed factories and machinery to protest the inevitable industrialization.
20. Metals changed the game. Cheaper clothes alone wouldn't drive Britain forward. The work of Abraham Darby in reducing the cost of making cast iron and Henry Bessemer in reducing the cost of mass-producing steel formed a bedrock of metal that British dominance would be built upon.
Number 19. Rise of fossil fuels. Though the machines were built, they couldn't be powered without energy. The discovery and rapid adoption of fossil fuels such as oil, natural gas, and coal allowed societies to move past man and beast power and energize machines much more efficiently.
18. Steam starts powering the machines. Though the steam engine was first created by Thomas Newcomen in 1712, it was mostly used to pump water out of mines. Scotsman James Watt built on his work and 60 years later had produced an efficient machine which could power machinery, train locomotives, and ships. Beyond the steam engine, Watt was a massively influential engineer, formulating the concept of horsepower and the modern metric system.
Number 17. The first steam locomotive. 100 years after the first steam engine was made by Newcomen, Brit Richard Trevithick built the first steam locomotive. Railways in the UK first began operating in 1830 with the Liverpool-Manchester line.
16. America jumps in the game. Crossing the Atlantic, we find American Robert Fulton, who built the first commercially successful steamboat. Named Claremont, the ship took passengers from New York City to Albany. Fulton was also the creator of the first practical submarine in history, the Nautilus, commissioned by Napoleon Bonaparte.
Number 15. The states dominate cotton. Harnessing the power of steam, the Americans linked an engine to their cotton machines. The result was a massive increase in their production of cotton, even outpacing India, the largest producer of cotton, until the early 1800s.
14. Communication improves. Developments in the field of electricity led to the first commercial electric telegraph, created by William Cooke and Charles Wheatstone in 1837. Less than 30 years later, an undersea telegraph cable was laid from Britain to America, significantly reducing communication times between the two.
Number 13. The banking industry jumps on the wagon. The latter half of the 18th century was a prime time for the emergence of a stronger banking industry. Stock exchanges were established in London and New York in the 1700s and 1790s respectively. During the year of American independence, Scott Adam Smith published his book, The Wealth of Nations, which, with its emphasis on private ownership, free enterprise, and a hands-off government, has become one of the primary economic philosophies of our time.
12. Slums spring up. Despite the fat cats and middle class improving their standard of living, the poorer classes were thrown into squalor. The massive immigration from the countryside to urban areas meant housing couldn't keep up, leading to overcrowded, polluted, and disease-ridden slums in the middle of most major cities.
Number 11. Countryside left empty. In 1750, 85% of the British population lived in the countryside, while 15% lived in the cities. By 1900, the numbers had reversed, with over 8/10 of Brits living in major cities, forcing Britain to quickly innovate in agricultural production to feed the dense cities.
10. Child labor was rampant. It's a well-known fact about the Industrial Revolution that working conditions were poor and hazardous, and that child labor was common. It's estimated that 1 in 5 textile workers in Britain were younger than 15 years old during the early 1860s.
Number 9. Machine smuggling begins. Other countries were eager to experience the benefits brought to Britain through industrialization. Some even sent representatives to the Isles, where they stole and smuggled out machines in rowboats.
8. Industrialization ends the power of Russian elites. Late to the industrialization game, Russia entered the race in the 1860s. While the power of the monarchy and upper class gradually declined in Great Britain, Russia resolved to keep a strong czar and nobility. Their overbearing of factory workers and the peasantry led to their downfall when the Bolshevik Revolution erupted in 1917, largely over workers' rights.
Number 7. Industrialization fosters colonialism. As countries developed, so did their hunger for raw materials to grow and outpace their rivals. Massive colonialism resulted. While Europeans occupied 34% of global land in 1800, the number increased to 84% by the outbreak of World War I.
6. Downsides of industrialization. Industrialization hasn't found a friend everywhere, and many are seeing its negative effects. Some of the most obvious negative effects are major issues in today's world, such as overpopulation, environmental degradation, and climate change. Major issues.
Number 5. Important discoveries. Many other important inventions came out of the Industrial Revolution, including Alessandro Volta's battery in 1900, John Dalton's discovery of the atom in 1803, Henry Talbot's invention of photography in 1835, Isaac Singer's sewing machine in 1851, and Richard Gatling's machine gun in 1862.
4. First World's Fair. To show off their technological prowess, Britain put on the First World's Fair in 1851. The event mostly focused on the Industrial Revolution machinery, including sewing machines, telegraphs, and steam hammers.
Number 3. America takes over from Britain. Though the Industrial Revolution began in Great Britain, by 1900 the United States was the world's leading manufacturer, producing 24% of global output. 2. It may not have been such a revolution after all. Various historians dispute the view that the Industrial Revolution could be characterized as a rapid jump of growth between 1760 and 1830. These scholars argue that industrialization affected Britain more slowly, over a period from 1700 to 1900, claiming significant industrialization occurred before 1760, and that the rates of growth during these 70 years have been overstated. Number 1. Industrial Revolution's modern-day impact. Despite the Industrial Revolution's shortcomings and errors, it led to the fastest growth ever experienced in human history. From 1700 to 2000, Earth's population grew by tenfold. In the 1900s alone, the global economy grew 14-fold, energy use grew 13-fold, and per capita income grew 4-fold. The effects of industrialization are still in full swing, especially as some countries, Brazil, India, China, South Africa, Vietnam for instance, are focusing their growth efforts on manufacturing and industrialization. This was a great collab, but it leaves me with a question. What if humans never industrialized? Say the Industrial Revolution just never happened. If you enjoyed my voice, perhaps you'd like to find out more about this alternate world on my newest video at Alternate History Hub. You don't have to, but it'd be nice.